Welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode, I'll be discussing the 2018 Warner Brothers animated musical comedy Smallfoot, as directed by Karey, Kirkpatrick, and as based on the unpublished, I believe, children's book by Yeti Tracks, I think it's called, by Sergio Pablos. The movie twists the legend of the Yeti, or Bigfoot, on its head, instead coming from their point of view, following a village of Yetis hidden away high in the Himalayan mountains. One day, a Yeti by the name of Mangum, as voiced by Channing Tatum, during gong ringing practice, misses his target and flies right out of the village, only to witness an airplane crash onto the mountainside, out of which stumbles the fabled Smallfoot, or human to you and I. Excited by this new find, Mangum revs up the village, only to find that all evidence of the Smallfoot has disappeared. Mangum is subsequently banished from the village, but soon finds out he is not alone in his belief of the elusive Smallfoot. So, teaming up with a group of Yetis who themselves also believe in the Smallfoot, including Michi, the village chief's daughter, as voiced by Zendaya, and Gwangi, Kolki and Fleem, oh, these names are going to get me, as voiced by LeBron James, Gina Rodriguez and Ely Henry, respectively. Mangum goes on a perilous journey into the unknown to find him a Smallfoot, in order to achieve redemption and acceptance among the other villagers. And indeed, he meets Perry Patterson, as voiced by James Corden, a struggling filmmaker of wildlife documentaries who's looking to add some zest to his films in order to kind of pump up the ratings. Maybe I should have a Yeti. Each starts out with their own motivations and misconceptions about the other, each a fabled myth to the other, and a constant stream of intrigue and hilarity, whilst also along the way each has a journey of discovery of their own, learning to communicate, understand, and work together to overcome the boundaries of prejudice and fear on both sides, learning that Yetis and humans may be more alike than first appearances may suggest. So I must say, what a wonderfully charming and surprising movie. I didn't really know what to expect from this one. I think my expectations were certainly pretty low, to be honest. I mean, and I didn't even know it was a musical until we had a singing Yeti on screen, which did take me kind of back a bit by surprise. But do you know what? It totally got me on board, and I was kind of toe-tapping way before I knew it, you know what I mean? It's certainly a quirky tale that's kind of been brilliantly animated with a real touch and flair for detail. The twist of looking at ourselves through the eyes of the Yeti, or indeed the Bigfoot, was superb, if quite humbling and reflective, greying the land between just who exactly the monster might be. It's definitely a peppy kind of feel-good movie that challenges ideas, ideology and beliefs in a very digestible but profound way, taking the interesting angle of the Yetis to kind of pit blind faith against science and the pursuance of truth. For an animation aimed at the younger generation, it certainly kind of posed some kind of pretty deep and thoughtful questions on the subject. There were certainly some very wholesome kind of ways about the way that it kind of engaged discussion in this respect, challenging the way sometimes laws, legends and history are perceived and then distorted, in this case in an effort to keep the Yeti safe from the humans. But, you know, asking, when does taking such action to keep people safe become control? Even if born out of the best intentions, from a real and immediate threat, do things go too far? Do people have the right to know the truth? It was quite ingenious how the movie kind of poses these questions without ever feeling burdened by them. It remains a light, flowing and easygoing movie throughout. I love the concept of the Bigfoot, you know, or a Yeti hunting for a Smallfoot, and a human hunting for a Bigfoot. It certainly led to some hilarious moments as the two kind of species do try and get to kind of understanding of each other. Parts definitely had me in fits of giggles, I must admit, and indeed, I did find it to be quite Looney Tunes at times. It really did kind of feel like somebody had been watching too many Saturday morning cartoons, especially as Mangum makes his descent down the mountain, very Willy E. Coyote. It's a warm, kind of fuzzy movie with good intentions and a Yeti-sized heart at its core. certainly understated, I think, or at the very least from my perspective, you know? It was a lot stronger in many aspects than I had thought and would even give it credit for at the time. And even the songs, especially the songs, in fact, were actually very strong in their own right. Quite enchanting, and they certainly kind of fit very well with the overall flow of the movie. I do have to admit that when I had kind of heard that first kind of song coming on, I did kind of cringe a little bit. Now, I love a good animated musical, don't get me wrong at all, but when a movie such as this tries to do it, it's clear that they kind of really didn't have the talent to kind of pull it off. It can ruin what would have otherwise been a pretty decent flick. But, as I've already said, I got carried away with this one for sure. The songs, written by Kirkpatrick and his brother Wayne, were punchy, to the point, catchy, and indeed had the backing of some amazing talent. Not least, of course, Zendaya, who knocks it out of the park once again. It has a decent voice cast, all told, who bring these playful and vibrant characters to life, injecting their own persona and energy into the roles. Even Corden, who I'm usually on the fence with, to be quite fair, brought some pretty decent kind of charisma to the role of Percy, and quite a funky musical number, I must say, I thoroughly enjoyed. It has a fantastic adventurous charm, exploring the world around us, you know, and taking that leap into the unknown. A story about courage, fears, standing up for the truth and what you believe in, and to some extent, how the two can sometimes be in conflict. About having the courage to accept new ideas, to investigate and take that plunge into our uncertainty, you know, not just off the end of a cliff, but into our uncertainty. There are some really affectionate homages to the Yeti kind of Bigfoot lore as well, capturing some of those iconic kind of footages and images that we've seen in the newsreels and things over the years, you know, that have kind of fueled the search over the years for these fabled giants, which I thought was an absolutely brilliant touch. Keeping things very relevant and with reference to our own experiences with these creatures and having fantastic fun with the overall premise. Overall, this is a brilliantly playful backyard adventure, you know, quite cartoonish at times, but in excellent taste and totally hilarious. Definitely well worth a watch and absolutely a decent family flick with a big heart and indeed posing some quite thought-provoking questions in the lightest possible way, set against a breathtaking backdrop and some totally toe-tapping musical numbers. Quite a surprising animation in terms of quality and overall emotional payoff, being quite emotive where it really counts. Not quite all what I was expecting, you know, and in the best way possible. The movie had me invested and really ended up being an absolutely top-tier, enjoyable experience, bringing in some larger-than-life characters quite literally to life. A very charmingly understated movie, I think, all told, and lovingly created with an eye for detail and those challenges and the way that it challenges belief, you know, convention and the status quo against science, discovery and the truth, whilst essentially just being a fantastically good time. So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having you here at SciFirst MovieTalk and definitely love to have you back. Most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.